I've helped over 6,000 clients with their taxes. Entrepreneurs, investors, real estate professionals, high earners, manufacturers, contractors. And almost every single one of them, before they came to me, were making the same mistake. Different industries, different income levels, same blind spot. And here's the worst part. It wasn't illegal. It was completely legal and completely avoidable. Let me show you what it is and how to fix it. So what's the one thing that most people think they're doing right with their taxes, but really aren't? They're trying to protect themselves from the IRS, that big, bad IRS. They are not protecting themselves. They are costing themselves thousands and thousands of dollars. It's a mistake that happens typically because either they didn't have a tax advisor or their tax advisor was just an accountant and didn't really understand tax advice. Or they were a so-called tax advisor, but not an accountant. So it takes all of these things to really be a great tax advisor. But they didn't understand that protecting yourself from the IRS, a good offense is always the best defense. Meaning that we've got to look at understanding the tax law itself. How does the tax law actually work? What is the IRS actually looking for? And then are there incentives that the IRS goes, hey, yeah, this is perfectly fine. I have no issue with this. Yeah, so I don't need to protect myself from the IRS. I need to protect myself from bad tax advice. That's what I need to protect myself from. I need to protect myself from people who are saying stop when they should be saying go, or from people who are saying go, they should be saying stop. It's really protecting myself from bad advice. That is the number one thing that we need to do. Stop paying attention to social media tax advice. I'm talking about me. Yeah, I get it. I'm all over social media. When I do a social media thing, I want your attention for sure. When I do these videos, I'm giving you actual, actionable steps you can take to reduce your taxes. You want to get the education, because what happens is people think, oh, my tax person handles that. Well, wait a minute. What do you mean they handle it? Remember what I always say? If you want to change your tax, you have to change your facts. Well, that means that I can't handle it. You have to handle it. I need to know what your facts are so I can tell you what facts to change. I can't change your facts. Only you can change your facts. Only you can make this happen. Now, I think you need a good partner in a great tax advisor. That's my profession and the profession of my franchisees. Our job is to be your partner in reducing your taxes. You cannot turn it over to somebody else and think they're going to do it. That is what most people do. They just turn it over to somebody else. You ever hear about the celebrity that lost all their money because they did what? They turned all their money over to somebody else. Or they went to prison because their advisor did something that was illegal. Oh, they turned it over to somebody else. Don't turn it over to somebody else. Be invested, be part of it. It doesn't take that much time. It's like a couple of hours a month, maybe at the most. Even when you're just starting out, it's only a couple hours a month. They don't get to be a couple of hours a quarter. You've got to spend some time on it. If you are wanting to change your tax, you have to change your facts. So people think I'm protecting myself from the IRS. They're really not. They're just protecting themselves from lower tax bills. That's what they're really doing. And they probably actually have a higher chance of being audited than they think they do. This is what's going on. One of the biggest problems with owning gold is storing that gold. You pay month after month just to keep it locked away and your stack never grows. But with monetary metals, the model is flipped. Instead of you paying fees, they actually pay you in gold to store your gold with them. That means your ounces go up every month. Now, how does that work? They lease your gold to qualified vetted businesses like jewelers, refiners, mints that need it for inventory to operate. In return, you earn a yield, typically 2 to 4% a year, paid directly in gold. Now, how is that possible? Well, everybody knows that if you're a retailer, wholesaler, etc., you have to maintain a certain amount of inventory on hand at all times. And rather than buying that inventory, they're leasing the inventory from you. So they have the gold there in their inventory for 12 months. And after 12 months, you can get it back or you can renew your lease. That's how it works. So for many investors, this simple shift, turning the cost of storage into a yield on their storage, is the difference between watching wealth erode and watching it compound. Monetary Metals has already completed over 75 deals across 5 continents with thousands of ounces paid out to clients. And so far, 0 losses. So if you own gold, ask yourself, why let it drain you when it could be working for you? Go to monetary-metals.com/CPA today and see how your ounces could start growing again. That's monetary-metals.com/CPA. So many high income earners, they are following the rules, but they massively overpay. What they don't realize is that there are different rules for different activities. So a high earner that puts their money in the stock market has a different tax result than a high earner that invests their money into energy. A high earner who sits on their money in savings has a different tax result than a high earner who invests in real estate. You think that you're protecting yourself, and what you're really doing is protecting the government and making sure they get the most of your money. Why are you doing that? Why are you wasting your valuable assets that you work so hard for and just handing them over to the government when the government is very happy to have you pay less tax? See, you are a partner with the government, like it or not. You are a partner with the government. Now, you can be a silent partner or an active partner. What so many high income earners do is they're silent partners with the government, and the government is silently taking 40 or 50% of their money. Instead, they could be an active partner and the government could take 10% or 15% of their money or even less. Why would you be a silent partner when you can be an active partner? Well, if you go, hey, I don't have time. You don't have time to save 40% of your money that you earn? You don't have time for that? Are you kidding me? You're spending all this time working, all this time building your business, and yet you're willing to give away 40% to the government when it's not that hard to change your facts and change your tax. Look, if you want to keep more cash in the next 30 days without changing your business or working more, I put together a free guide that shows you how. It walks you through the exact tax strategies I use with clients to put money back in their pocket fast. But it's only available for a limited time, so don't wait. Click the link below and download your free copy now. So can someone still massively overpay even if they think they're being smart with deductions? And the answer is yes, because they may just be looking at how they make their money. So they're looking at their business and they're going, okay, yeah, I'm being smart. I'm deducting my business expenses. I'm deducting my home office. I'm deducting my car. I'm deducting things. I'm deducting my meals, okay, my business meals. I'm doing those things. Hey, and yet you're still massively overpaying. Why? Because of what you're doing with your money. What are you doing with your money has a bigger impact on your taxes, or can have a bigger impact than how you make your money. Someone can be really diligent in making sure that they're getting all their deductions on their business income, but not paying any attention to the deductions that they could be getting through their investing. That is a huge mistake, and it's a mistake most people make. And part of it, frankly, is they run across these yahoos on social media who says, hey, here's all the tricks and tips to deducting business expenses. Well, how about some strategy to investing long-term? How about some strategy to building real wealth while paying a lot fewer in taxes? What about that? So think about the financial impact. Now, I've seen this. Once somebody starts using the tax law proactively, let me give you a very simple formula. If you're not using the tax law, you're investing the way most people invest. You just put your money in the stock market, you let it go. Then typically you're going to double your money every 10 to 15 years. If you have, good ETF, mutual fund, whatever, right? Every 10 to 15 years, you might double your money. I call that 2 + 2 = 4, right? That's what most people do. That's how they think. Then there are people that go, well, wait a minute. If I invest in real assets, business, real estate, agriculture, energy. I invest in real assets. I can use debt. And if I use debt, I can make so much more money because I'm making money on my money and I'm making money on the bank's money. Then 2 + 2 = 8. So I'm not doubling my money every 10 to 15 years. I'm doubling my money every 5 to 7 years, right? Twice as fast. But then what if I actually get the tax benefits, not just from the money I invested, but the money the bank invested? Now all of a sudden, 2 + 2 = 16. So instead of 10 to 15 years, we're talking about 2.5 to 3 years doubling your money. You think that's not possible? Well, it is when you have that much more money. Say, I earn $10,000. If I pay $4,000 in tax, I'm only investing $6,000. And then if I pay tax on the earnings, right? Now, and I'm not using debt, wow, I'm stuck with that $6,000. But what if I don't pay tax on that $10,000 because I know how the tax law works? I invest that $10,000 so that I pay no tax on that $10,000 of earnings. Now I have $10,000 to invest. Now I go borrow $40,000 from the bank. I have $50,000 to invest. Now I have so much more money because not just am I not paying tax on that $10,000 I earned, I'm not paying tax on other money I earned. Well, wait a minute. Now I have money that would have gone to the government that I have. So now that's instead of $6,000 doubling every 10 to 15 years, I might have $15,000. Well, guess what? Doubles a lot faster. Or I might just have a much higher rate of return, right? Because I'm getting a rate of return on the bank's money and I'm getting the rate of return from the government. So that rate of return doubles my money faster and faster and faster. That is the impact I see over and over again with people who understand how to use the tax law effectively. What are some simple mindset shifts to help clients go from paying taxes to using tax to build wealth? Well, that's a good one right there. My obligation is to pay taxes. That's a true statement. Your obligation is to pay taxes. It's to pay your taxes that you owe. What is not an obligation is to owe the most amount of taxes possible. That is not your obligation. In fact, the government is just as happy. In fact, they make just as much money if you invest your money in such a way that you pay less tax. How does the government make more money? Well, you make more money, which unless you keep investing, you're going to pay taxes on that. But here's what else happens. You create jobs, and those people with those jobs, they pay taxes. So the government always wins. I want to be clear. The government always wins. The question is, are you also going to win? Is it a win-win wealth strategy, or is it just a win strategy for the government? That's the question, okay? Is it a win-win? Are you winning? Are you playing the tax game to win? There's a mindset shift. It's a game. It has rules. Once I understand the rules, I can play the game better and I'm more likely to win. Why do some people make a lot of money and some people make a little money in the exact same investment? They understand the rules. They understand how to play the game. Now, what's an example of a client who made this mistake of paying taxes changed when they fix it? Oh my heavens, I have this happen like every day. So literally what really happens is that in April, they file their taxes, or in June when they file their taxes, they get a big refund. I get a call. Thank you so much for that refund. I've never gotten a refund before. Why? Because they changed their thought process. They started using their taxes to build wealth, which reduced their taxes. The more wealth you build, the less tax you pay, as long as you're building wealth the way the government wants you to build wealth. So take the time to change your mindset. Take the time to work with a great tax advisor to create a great tax strategy so that you can pay the least amount of tax that you're legally obligated to pay. Change your facts, change your tax. Most people overpay for years and they don't even realize it. Once you fix that, the next step is protecting the money you're keeping. Click the video on the screen right now and I'll walk you through how to protect your business, your time, and your wealth.